Hi there, guys. Hey, Vinney is back again. Thank you for liking the podcast, Apartment Syndication Made Easy, giving 5-star reviews and written reviews. Really excited about it. And also my 2 shows that come live on Thursday morning, 9 a.m., Abundance Mindset with Vinney Chopra. That's Pacific because I live near San Francisco. And then my second show, which comes live in 14 channels on Friday morning, which is Vinney and Bo show, which we have been doing for 2.5 years or so. Thanks again. And today we got a great friend, Derek. Derek Dombeck is in the house, and we're going to really talk a lot about, overcoming, like losing everything and building it right back up, and also how to really creatively finance and then lending money. So this is a show for you. Go for it. And, stay tuned and let me welcome. Hi, Derek. How are you, bro?
I'm great, Vinney. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, sure. It's such a pleasure. I know I'm kind of wearing this. It's kind of spell outside San Francisco, tornadoes and rain and all that. We had no electricity for 3 days. I can't believe it. For 3 days, it just so happened. And, we were able to go and live in my sister's place and all. But, let me introduce you, bro. As a successful investor, Derek Dombeck has, surfaced the ups and downs, which we all have, of the market since 2003. And Derek's expertise ranges from creative deal structuring, wholesaling, flipping, and land lording, for lending into investing throughout the years. He has been involved in thousands of transactions in his career. I'll let him kind of speak and tell us, Derek, you're in Michigan, huh? Yeah. No.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I know. Wisconsin. I confused that. My partner is from Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. I just was talking to him. It's been on my mind. But welcome. Yeah, tell us more about, your journey and how the ups and downs, and you lost everything and kind of gained it back to a very good business now. Yeah.
I love telling the story because I just really love bringing up the pain that I've suffered for all these years, But no, I'm very vocal about my story only because I really like to hopefully have people avoid going through the same things I went through.
Sure.
And everything that my wife Tracy and I did go through, we realized later was a blessing. It just didn't feel like a blessing at the time. And I think we're coming across something very similar right now with markets starting to shift. I think there's going to be a lot of, investors that probably over leveraged and got themselves in trouble. So hopefully your listeners can take some lessons from this. But I started in 2003 and I came from a background. I live in the middle of a small rural area in Wisconsin. So we do have a pretty wide diameter in which we do business. So it's not uncommon for me to buy a house or a property that we're going to fix up and flip 100 miles away from where I live. It's just common. And over the years, when we first started, we held everything. That's what we were taught to do. And at that time I had a job and I was running my real estate business on the side, like most people start out. Mm-hmm. And we built up a pretty sizable portfolio in the first 3 or 4 years in the business. And that was back when if you could fog a mirror, you could get a loan. And I had good credit, good job, good income. Banks were fighting over my business. I thought I was God's gift to real estate investing. What a genius I was. Look at me go. Mm-hmm. And then the markets turned in 2007. And ultimately, we lost damn near everything. Wow. And a few lessons came out of that before, because it took over 3 years to sort all this out. But the initial lessons that I learned, if you're 100% leveraged through banks, you don't have any real control over your business. Yeah. There is certainly a place for banking in our business, but I myself hardly ever use a bank for anything at this point, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's just I guess I got a sour taste in my mouth. It wasn't the bank's fault, but yet all the relationships I grew and took the time to nurture, those people that I grew relationships with, they were escorted out the door.
Wow.
And some of the banks I was doing business with got completely shut down and taken into receivership by the NCUA, if it was a credit union, or the FDIC as a bank. So yeah, I was really in a bad way. My wife and I had built this up. It was at that time about a $4 million portfolio of rental properties. And in under a year, we were down to about $1 million in value.
Wow.
And so I learned a lot about short sales and foreclosure and all these things because I was going through them. So instead of quitting like many did and blaming somebody else for their problems, I kind of embraced it. I went and approached my local banks. I say local because we were doing business in our state of Wisconsin, and we were also doing business in Florida. So Florida is where I really got hurt.
Really hurt.
Yes, value wise. But the properties I still had in Wisconsin, they cash flowed. They could take care of themselves. So I did what almost nobody does. I walked into my local bank and I asked for a meeting with the bank president and my commercial loan officer. And we sat down and I scripted out what was going on and what my plan was to solve it. And they worked with me for the next few years, even when they should not have, according to my credit report or other things, they still did.
This is very important. I might just interject. Many people will be going through this, what you're saying, yes. Derek, in 2023, brother. You're so right. Because as you know, last 3-4 years, people have been overpaying, and the interest rates were low.
Hi, you are listening to Syndication Made Easy podcast. We will be right back after this short break.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Vinney Chopra, and thank you for subscribing to my podcast and YouTube channel and Facebook pages and all the great things, and LinkedIn. Connect with me. I come live to you every Friday at 9 Pacific with Vinney and Bo show. Please also look at that. And also the podcast, which is my Apartment Syndication Made Easy. The book I wrote a couple of years back became international top seller on Amazon International now. And then we like to bring great guests for you every week or twice a week sometime to give you a lot of great knowledge. So please subscribe. You give us 5-star reviews on the iTunes. The better the guests we can bring, and our ranking will go higher also. Thanks again for following us and really getting the most out of it. Please comment, like, share, because we would love to bring better and better material for you. So they were able to get bridge financing or even fixed loans, due in 3 or 5. And then now, if it's variable interest rate, their mortgage is double or something. So, and how could you survive? Yeah.
And that's really my biggest concern. You talk about apartment syndications, how many people that bought apartments on 3 to 5 year balloons and at ridiculously low cap rates.
So true.
They are going to suffer, and some of us are going to really benefit
also. So
in every change in the market, there's opportunity if you know what to look for.
Exactly.
And that was a lot of the eye-opening lessons I learned in the late 2000s. And the other part of it that I started to consciously pay attention to how I spoke to people, in particular, bankers, attorneys, sellers, buyers, everyone we deal with. And I started to study how to really talk to people, but talk to them in a way that leads them down a path. Because I could relate to somebody that was in foreclosure. I went through it. I could relate to somebody that was, 100 different scenarios. I lost my father, for example, to an early death. So I could relate to people that were going through probate or were liquidating an estate. So I really started to embrace that and actually take physical notes. I would record phone calls, go back and listen to them. What did I say? What was the tone in my voice? What was the tone in their voice? How did they react? And I studied that for a while. I mean, years, to the point where I've gotten very good at negotiating. And I feel like that is one of the biggest mistakes that most people make. One of two mistakes. The first mistake is everybody wants to go out and, whether it's wholesaling or syndicating or whatever their niche is, they just jump in and want to start making money at it. They don't actually learn how to talk to people. This is a people business. Certainly you can buy things off the internet. You can make bids on online auctions, but you still have to deal with tenants, contractors, bankers, attorneys. You have to know how to talk to people. And every social interaction essentially is a negotiation, right down to trying to get your kids to go to bed on time. That is a negotiation, right?
So true.
Dealing with your spouse or whatever. So I feel like that's the first mistake most people make. They don't focus on that skill. The second mistake I made was I didn't build a network of people the first half of my career. And so moving into about 2010, 2011, my wife and I were on the rebound. We're fixing everything, we're repairing our credit, but we couldn't use banks. So we were raising private capital. Met my current business partner. His name is Jeff. And Jeff had never used a bank for any of his real estate transactions, which was a great, I'll call it a marriage, a business marriage, because he had a different mindset that I hadn't been around. So as we started doing deals together, raising private capital for those deals, we just got to a point where we had more money than we had deals. And you don't want your investors to go somewhere else. We also had a lot of relationships with other people locally within our region that were looking for money for their deals. So we started to lend, and it's a arbitrage business that, we currently pay our investors 9% return on their money, and we charge it out at 12% on up to 13.5%. And we charge some origination points. So the fund itself is a syndication. We lend out of our fund, and that's the spread. Now I can tell you, Vinney, I had zero experience in lending. I had zero experience in finance. I have a PhD, a public high school diploma, and a hell of a work ethic. So anybody can do what I've done, right? If you consciously want to do it. So as we were doing this, our primary business was buying rental properties or buying houses and flipping them. And the lending was a side project. And that has just grown and grown and grown to the point now where the lending is our primary business. And we still buy and sell property, but that's almost the side gig. And it's been a really great ride. The networking side of it, as I said, everyone should build that network. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, always. Because if you're trying to raise money or just find deals or sell deals or look for contractors, all the different things that we all need, if you have the right network, it's usually one or two phone calls and you get what you need.
True. So let me ask you a question, if I may. How has your company evolved? So do you have like a marketing side of the company, branding and all? Do you do direct mails? How do you find investors? My guess is,
So on the investor side, it's really relationship based. A lot of referrals from our current investors, talking to their friends and family. We've become a little bit more consistent on our national approach, because we are lending regionally in the state of Wisconsin, but we do have investors from all over the country. It just really depends on how we had our original fund established, and then we started another fund, because as you know, there's laws and regulations on how you advertise and how you actually raise money.
506C, you probably did the 506C with the accredited investors, That's what I teach in my academy also, right?
Yes. So we've become more well-known on a national level, and honestly, no different than you having a podcast or me being a guest on your podcast and other podcasts. It's having these conversations, getting more well known, letting people interact with you. And so at this point, we host a conference once a year on a national level. We have 3 mastermind groups that I host on a national level, and that's really how we're raising money. It's being in front of the room or being in front of the camera, and just, I mean, I'm here no different than you. I want to give back and educate and teach people. I don't have any ulterior motives whatsoever. At the end of the day, does that build our network? It absolutely does. You and I will be friends moving forward. We've grown that network,
Exactly. What you just said is so right. If you can educate passive investors, people who have pension plans and others, and who are also very good at their business, their craft, entrepreneurs, doctors, you name it. If we can share them how it can benefit them and educate them, that's the key. But then comes the trustworthiness. That comes, nobody's give any money unless they feel very secure. What the people are, who the people are, of course, and then what their track record is and what their game plan is, right? And they buy into that. Sure.
And it certainly gets easier over time once you have a track record.
Sure.
I went to a family gathering, and my wife went to a family gathering on her side of the family, and these conversations come up. And do we raise money that way? Yes, we do. Or I think one of the problems I had, and I feel like this is common with most of us, I felt like I was asking to borrow people's money instead of giving them an opportunity to invest in my project.
Yes.
And when I shifted my mindset, where I'm not begging, I'm not borrowing, I'm just giving them an opportunity. Many of my investors were getting 1% to 3% returns on their money.
Yes.
And now they're getting 9%. I've changed their lives. I could tell you multiple stories of people that were near retirement or at retirement, and they're getting a secure return that they had no other way of getting. They weren't educated in a way to seek out higher returning investments. And that makes me feel really great when I get phone calls, emails, Christmas cards thanking me. Just today, I swear to you, I'm not making this up, Vinney. Just today, I took on another investor. He thanked me 4 times in a 10-minute conversation for letting him invest in our fund.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
It's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here doing the happy dance saying, yes, I got another investor. This is great. And he's thanking me over and over again. So I think that's a big shift. Even for myself, you and I talked a little bit before the podcast started, dollar amounts can be intimidating, regardless of if you're trying to raise $100,000, $1 million, 10 million, or 100 million. Honestly, the process is the same.
So true. So very true. So very true. No, that's so right. I'm so glad you're sharing so many great nuggets, today. And the key thing is what you're saying is don't rationalize, ask, educate the investors, of course, but ask and negotiate with the banks. I think that's something I want to carry that a little bit more. I hope everybody listening to us, if you think there are people, who might be in a situation where they are in a, under the water, it's good to talk to the president. Like you said in the interview, you just made a meeting with the president and the loan officer, which is great because they don't want to take over the property. They are not in that business. They would rather, have a good operator like you to take care of, slowly be able to get out of underwater. So a lot of people will be coming into the water right now. So I think a good thing to talk about is to get them really negotiate, sit down and show them a business plan or how they're going to be able to pay back whatever balance and, maybe collateralize some things or things. There are so many different ways, options out there, right?
Well, what most people don't really study is the fact that every bank, big or small, is regulated and has quarterly audits or whatever the time frame is, but they get audited. And so if somebody goes in to borrow money to buy a car and they get turned down, it may have absolutely nothing to do with your income or your credit score. It could have everything to do with that bank was too heavy on car loans at that point in time. And nobody ever talks about this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Same thing with, this is a pet peeve of mine, Vinney. People that are going out and using or putting home equity lines of credit against their personal houses. I didn't lose my personal home, but I made that same mistake. And the fine print on most of those HELOCs is that they're callable, and they can be called at any point in time. So why would they call it? Because people always tell me, well, Derek, I make all my payments. I have good credit. I have a good job. Why would they call the loan due? Well, gosh, I don't know. Interest rates have doubled. They call the loan due, and now they can give the loan back to you at a higher interest rate.
So true.
Or there's 100 reasons. Or again, the bank regulators came in and said, you're too heavy in these types of loans. They could call the loan due just for that. It has nothing to do with you as a borrower.
Totally.
So very few people ever discuss that.
Surely. No, thank you again for giving so many great ideas. And I hope everybody else liked. How can people reach you? I know you're writing a book also. You mentioned you might like to give the digital copy to the audience. Yeah.
Yes. So I have 2 books. One is being released at the end of January. That was being released for sure. That's actually a compilation book between myself and a bunch of other really great authors. So I'd love to give that one to your audience. I am writing my own book, and it is on the private lending space, A to Z. How do you be a private lender? That was supposed to be published early this year. My ghostwriter is behind. So when it's published, I absolutely will give that one to your audience as well.
Oh, wonderful.
All they have to do is just shoot me an email to my personal email address. I will respond to it. It's my first name, Derek, DEREK, at bestreifunding.com. So Best REI Funding is my lending company.
Very good. Very good.
So all you got to do is send me an email, say, hey, I heard you on Vinney's show, the best damn show out there. And I'll put you on that list. And as soon as we get those digital versions, we'll just blast them all out to you. The other thing I'd love to mention, if it's okay, I mentioned that I do have a conference once a year. Our conference is a little bit different, Vinney, and I'm very proud of this fact. So I bring in about 10 non-selling speakers. Nobody's pitching from the stage.
Yep.
It's all content. It's all advanced strategies. This is not, necessarily for brand new people. Not that you're not welcome, but it's really designed for advanced strategies. So it's a 5-day conference in Cancun, Mexico, at the end of February 27th.
Wow.
And we have our conference speakers for 4 hours each day from 9 until 1. The entire afternoon is meant for networking with everyone else.
Excellent.
And then we have some optional town hall sessions in the evening, which are a little bit more interactive. But the thing I love about it, it's called Generations of Wealth for a reason. I encourage you to bring your kids. If your kids are 10 to 17, they can sit in on anything they want, as much or as little, no charge. I really want the kids to be involved. And it's not for them to learn these advanced strategies that most adults don't even understand. It's really for our kids to build their own network. Excellent. My 3 children have a network of friends from across this country that as they get into their late teens, early 20s, if they can start to do a fraction of what we didn't do until we were in our 30s, 40s, or 50s, the sky's the limit for them. So, wonderful. So that comes in Cancun, like you said, 5 days. And then there is a fee to go there, and they pay for their everything, of course. It's a vacation and learning at the same time. Yes, it's at a beautiful all-inclusive resort. So that is, it's all at the website is GOW Voyage.
Oh, yeah, I saw that link. Okay, we'll put that also underneath there. Sure.
Yeah. And we'd love to have you. This is not meant to be a big sales pitch, whatever, but I am super proud of that, and we'd love to have you. It's not a huge event. I mean,
excellent.
This is
Derek,
really
I really appreciate hanging out with me, brother, and good luck to you in all the things you are doing. Happy lending and raising a lot of money in 2023. Great opportunities are going to be coming to you and us and those who have cash ready. I always say that. Lots of cash. I sold a lot of my portfolio last 3 years. And the good part is that we are sitting on some really good cash, which will be helpful. Thanks again, everybody watching. Please share this episode. If you like it, stay tuned for the next one. And I hope you're liking the content that my team and I are putting together. Thanks so much. Thank you again, for joining Vinney Chopra this week on this podcast. And please subscribe, share, give comments, and give 5-star rating if you can on iTunes, because that really helps a lot for us to bring great guests. And also iTunes raises our rankings up. And I hope you have been very happy with Vinney Chopra and team who are able to bring great information. If you would like to invest with us, please go ahead and go to vinneychopra.com/invest. Thanks again. God bless you.